how's it going? I am still plugging away here in the studio, and I wanted to see if I could get a second broadcast in today. Thank you to those of you that have watched the first broadcast from this morning, whether that was live or recorded. It's always a blast to have you guys, and I really do appreciate it. We are still working on our contemporary title. I've got a little bit more that I'd like to do, and this is getting pretty steamy, so I figured you guys might like to jump in with me. This is kind of an interesting one. I'd be curious to hear you guys' take on it because this is kind of a flashback or a prequel scene. Those of you guys that saw this morning's broadcast kind of got some of the background on that, where these are basically two teenagers that haven't grown up yet, or at least they're on the verge of growing up. And it's interesting because it shows the just barely contained desire that these two people have for each other that just kind of burns inside them that they can barely keep under control, even if they would rather not be interested in each other. But at the same time, they're barely more than kids. I don't know. It's interesting. It makes me a little uncomfortable in a way, just because they are so young, and I don't know. Maybe that means I'm getting old. I see college kids now, and good grief, they look like babies. I'm like, man, I was a college kid not that long ago. How did that happen? So maybe I'm just saying that I'm getting old, or starting to, but I don't know. It's interesting because it's a very steamy scene, but I don't know. I think I'm going to enjoy this more as we get more into the modern day story of these characters. Not that I don't like it, but I don't know. Maybe it's good to be kind of pulled out of your comfort zone a little bit sometimes. You know what I mean? But let's pick it up. Let me know what you guys think. She was blind with need. Already fresh lust mounted within her. It coiled tight like a spring as she continued to writhe and shimmy on his fingers. "Keep doing that," she panted in desperation. "You want to go a second time?" "Yes, and I want to touch you." Tobias knew just what she meant and grabbed her hand in his, placing it over the pounding bulge in his trousers. "Stroke it," he purred. "Yeah, like that." Now, quick aside here. There is a reason that Tobias sounds just a little bit peculiar here. For those of you that didn't see the first broadcast, he is so drunk right now that he can barely stand up straight. So, probably not the smartest decision he's ever made, but we've all made less than intelligent decisions before. But I think that he has a lot of growing up to do, and let's be honest, both of them probably do in very different ways. But he's not necessarily the most upstanding individual yet, at this point in the story. But let's stay tuned and see what happens. Her face burned as he swiveled his strong hips, grinding his groin against her hand in an unwholesome rhythm. "Have you ever felt one before?" "No." "Squeeze me tight," he directed in a gravelly voice. He groaned loudly when she'd obeyed him. Let me try that one more time. He groaned loudly when she obeyed him, only to mutter to himself in chagrin, "What the fuck am I doing? You're lean enough, for fuck's sake." Lee, nah or not, the need to know more overwhelmed him. His thumb pressed the engorged nubbin of desire at the apex of her groin. Tobias's head spun with drink and the intoxicating feel of her melting around his fingers. Her narrow body squeezed his fingers, wrapping them in a slick, glove-like embrace. He didn't know how he'd gotten from kissing little Lena to having his hands all over her pussy this quickly. She was the closest thing to a younger sister he'd ever had, but there was nothing sisterly about this orgasmic bundle of desire beneath him. Nor was there anything sisterly about her hand on his cock. He only knew that he was glad she'd never held another guy's tool before, and even gladder that she was still a virgin. "I want you to be my first," she breathed as if reading his mind. A flush of excitement coursed through him. "Catalina," he intoned thickly, "you're a little young." He only called her by her actual name on rare occasions, mostly when he was being serious or trying to make an important point. It only added to the intimacy of the moment. "No, I'm not," she argued. "I'm ready. Please, Toby." Little Lena was game. More than game. She was begging for it. She wanted it bad, and he did too. The feel of her body was amazing, so damp and tight and warm. He could only imagine the feel of her around him. Why not unzip his fly and give her the ultimate farewell gift? Poor kid deserved it. But she didn't feel like a kid just now. Even with her small tits and quivering limbs and clean taste, there was something about her that was a surprising turn-on. Then again, maybe it was just the booze. "You really want to do this?" She reared up and kissed him again. Then she choked him good and tight, gripping his stiff length in her palm as if her life depended on it. "Yes, Toby, I love you." All right, that's the end of that chapter. Give me 1 second. Excuse me, not the end of the chapter. That is the end of the page. We still have a couple more pages in this chapter, so we'll try to get this finished in this section. I don't see any reason why we won't be able to. By the way, while I'm getting that saved, thank you to all of the new folks who have signed up on the Patreon in the last couple of days, and of course to those of you guys that have been supporters from day one or day two. As always, thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it. I'm honored. I really am honored by your support, both in the past and in the Patreon specifically. It really means a lot to me, and it really just makes me want to continue to do what I do, because there's a lot of different ways to earn a living. There's something special about this one. There really is. And the support and the encouragement that you guys provide, man, that is a huge, huge part of why I love what I do. So thank you guys so much. Don't forget, like I said, for those of you guys that are, I believe, the top couple of tiers that have access to the non-romance titles, that will be coming out within the next couple of days, that historical biographical title, which I'm really looking forward to getting you guys' take on. And of course, those of you guys in the upper tiers will get that for free. I'll put the information up even for those of you guys that aren't, but those of you guys that are upper tier supporters get that for free. So I will let you know as soon as that is ready. And for those of you guys that are in the lower tiers that would decide that you like that, make sure that you get that switched over so I can get you that free copy as well. All right, I think we are set here. Let's pick it up again on the next page. And by the way, I know that this camera is wobbling. We are going to be replacing it again. I know I've said we've been getting new equipment. Well, this is one of the new equipment pieces, this holder for the camera, and I am not liking it. It has this weird little spring in it that's supposed to steady it, and it is not doing a great job. It's only just making it bounce every time I twitch. So I'm going to try again to come up with something a little bit better. But in the meantime, I do apologize. If it's really driving you guys crazy, let me know in a message or a comment on the Patreon page or on the video. I can always just use a backrest again. I know it doesn't give you as good of a view, and I'm hoping to improve it again to give you a little bit better view of what's going on in the studio, in the booth here. But if you can put up with a little bit of a motion, I hope it doesn't make you seasick. But if it's too annoying, let me know, and I'll just go back to what we were doing a few minutes or a few days ago until we get the better equipment. But again, that's just a temporary measure. I promise we're going to get this figured out, improve the quality of the broadcast. Excuse me. With a curse of annoyance, he pushed her hand away from his crotch. She reached for him again, but he held her off with a growl. What's wrong? You're going to make me cum my pants like a fucking freshman. That's what's wrong. Even as he cupped his own throbbing erection, trying to beat it into submission with a hard pinch, he couldn't stop himself from pushing his finger deep in. Excuse me. Not sure what happened there. Let's try that one more time, shall we? I apologize. If I can find my starting point here. There we go. Even as he cupped his own throbbing erection, trying to beat it into submission with a hard pinch, he couldn't stop himself from pushing his finger deep inside her. He loved the feel of her muscles clenching him tight. He rammed her with his finger once, then twice, then once more, and she came into his hand for the second time. This time she howled a little bit and dug her nails into his forearm. Tobias breathed hard with exertion, trying to control himself. He straightened and ran his fingers through his hair, drawing a few steadying breaths as he backed away from her. She lay there wantonly, spread out all over his dad's prized possession, leaving snail trails all over the hood. Holy fuck. What just happened? I climaxed, she told him softly. He leered in triumph. No shit, genius. His raging hard-on was giving him a headache. It was making him sweat, too. But the image of little Lena going all gooey on the hood of the Corvette would keep him smiling for a while. He'd done right by her for once and controlled his base urges. He hadn't popped her cherry. Now she could save herself for some geek at a science fair, even though the thought of that made him see red, and he wasn't sure why. In exchange for years of suffering his torment, he'd given her 2 sweet orgasms in the span of 2 minutes. Yes, he'd leave little Lena intact, leave her for someone more deserving. He may be the Napa Valley's biggest asshole, but he wasn't that big of an asshole. Besides, he liked the idea of her wanting him forever. Don't mix Mexican chicks with tequila. It's like a bomb going off in your pants, he joked, hoping humor would change the tone. He bent over and picked her glasses off the ground, giving them a little brush off before standing them... Not standing, handing. Let me try that again. He bent over and picked her glasses off the ground, giving them a little brush off before handing them back to her. You better put these back on and get to bed before I commit statutory rape. It wouldn't be like that. I just wanted you to be my first. Trust me, kid. You'll thank me later. Shakily, she shrugged back into her panties. What are you going to do? Go knock my giant dick back with a cold shower. Toby! Seriously, I'll go blind with this thing. She burst with nervous laughter, but quickly recovered, searching his painfully handsome face as he turned and looked at her over his shoulder one last time. You'll always love me, won't you? She nodded without hesitation. Like, forever, right? Yes, Toby. He threw her a slow half-smile. Bye, Lena. Bye, Toby. He left her alone in the barn, with trembling legs and soaked underwear. She closed her eyes and listened to his heavy footfalls grow more distant with each passing second. She knew her heart would break later. He was going, leaving for good. But for now, what had transpired between them sent her into a dizzying whirl of excitement. Tobias Langthorne's mouth on my breasts. Tobias Langthorne's hands all over me. Tobias Langthorne's fingers inside me. All right. That is the end of that chapter. I'm looking forward to the next chapter because that's going to be obviously jumping a fair number of years in the future. It'll be interesting to see how Tobias and Lena kind of grow and change and how that impacts their relationship as time goes by. I think it's interesting. As much of a douche as Tobias is, and even Lena admits that, as much as she loves him, he still asked if she would always love him. That's interesting. Do you think that was his insecurity? Not being able to handle the fact that anybody might not be in love with him? Or do you think there was something more to it than that? That maybe he knew, even already, that there was something special about her? That there was going to be something special between them? I don't know. It's interesting to think about. Tell me what you think, guys. Comment on the post in Patreon or on the video, and I'll enjoy talking with you guys about that. But anyway, that's going to wrap this chapter up for now. I'm glad I got to get a second broadcast in with you guys. I look forward to talking to you guys again next time later on. I don't think I have a whole lot more in the way of announcements. Don't forget, like I said, that free audiobook is coming up for those of you that are in the top couple of tiers. That includes non-romance titles as well. That historical biography. I'm looking forward to getting you guys' take on that. So that will be going out free to all of you guys. So make sure that you get into that subscription tier or one of those if you would like to make sure that you get that before it comes out. All right, guys. I think that's it for me. Let me tell the server to save this. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Thank you again, guys. Great having you guys, whether you watch it live or in the replay. Thank you so much for being a supporter. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys later. This is Logan McAllister. Peace.